For the past 10 years, you've been reading our Northeast Georgia news, weather, and features on nowhabersham.com. Now we're talking. Hello, and welcome to Now Network News' first podcast, brought to you from our brand new podcast studio right here in the downtown Clarksville Square. I'm Joy Purcell, along with several folks whose work you've grown familiar with through the years. Our news feature editor, Nora Almazan, government reporter, Jerry Neese, Tyler Penland. You've known his weather forecasting for the past 10 years. He's been with us since the beginning. And our newest addition, Brian Willmeyer. Now we're talking. This is your new go-to community affairs podcast where meaningful conversations spark action and inspiration. And the conversation starts here right now. Today we're jumping in with a look back at 2024 and a look ahead at 2025. Pulling back the curtain on what it takes to pull together a daily news operation, Tyler Penland starts us off by sharing what was the one story that impacted you the most this year, Tyler?
Hey, Joyce. It's good to be on here this morning. Obviously, from the weather community, Hurricane Helene was the biggest story of the year. Obviously, we kind of lucked out here in Northeast Georgia with the storm passing us to the east a little bit, but it was still a big weather story and will continue to be for a while across parts of North Carolina, South Carolina. And obviously we did see some damage here in Georgia from it, but I would say that's definitely the story that impacted me the most. It was really a storm for the record books, and hopefully we don't see anything like that anytime soon.
And Tyler, you covered it so well. It was incredible. I mean, all around the community, people were tapping in to see what you had to say about the weather. It was wonderful.
A horrible storm. I was just going to add a horrible storm, but it was wonderful coverage, similar to what we just saw here recently in Habersham County.
Yeah, I don't get nervous or overly excited about much in the weather. I've been doing it for a very long time, but that storm scared me up one side and down the other. So yeah, it was really something trying to forecast it, and I was extremely glad that it missed us here in Northeast Georgia, but still feel for our neighbors up towards Asheville and up towards Boone, North Carolina, that are still dealing with all the effects.
And, part of this podcast today is we are looking ahead at 2025, and I just want to jump ahead with you, Tyler, on that point. We've seen a lot of severe weather come through our region in the past year. Are we looking at a very busy weather season up ahead?
Ooh, a prediction. I love it. Tyler, we've got our notepads and our pens out. Let's see if you hit it.
I have a long-standing rule for myself that I don't look past 10 days on the weather models, because they do whatever they want to do past that point. And you've probably seen some of that on social media here recently, but I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks we can kick off 2025 with a nice snowstorm. So that would be nice. Cornelia's running on almost 3 years with no snow. So
it's about time.
I'm hoping we can end that.
I hope that comes true.
Well, that's one prediction I'm rooting for. I know there are a lot of folks out there that get a little bit nervous when we're talking snow in Northeast Georgia because we really aren't that well trained to drive in it. And but it doesn't quite feel like winter unless it snows.
Well, it sounds like Tyler has made a prediction that the snow drought will end within the next 2 weeks.
All right, we're marking it down, Tyler.
We got it down. Taking bets. Here we go.
So. I love snow, so
he is the biggest snow lover, I think, next to myself. And in fact, has been with us through many snowstorms, severe weather events. Tyler, I just have to thank you for 10 years of excellent weathercasting, for always being there for not only us but for our community. You do a great job, and we're just still so happy that you're with us here at Now Habersham.
Yeah, you're welcome. I enjoy it. So,
well, Jerry.
Well, there's been numerous stories this year. I think one recently this year has been the change with the county manager, because that has had its up and downs for the last 3.5 years. And now we're looking for a new one. And I think that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for the commissioners. And moving forward, into 2025 with our new commissioner, with Kelly Woodall coming on. They have a lot of decisions and a lot of hard decisions, not just regular decisions, but hard decisions coming in the next year. So it's going to be interesting how the new county manager and this new commission will work together to move forward with our community.
It's interesting how you recently reported that they reopened the application process for county manager here in Habersham.
Yeah, they just reopened it last Thursday, I believe it was. And I find that interesting because when they opened it this past fall, when former manager Alicia Vaughn resigned, they had 31 applicants. Obviously, they all weren't qualified, but they had a good pool. And 3.5 years ago, they couldn't get but just a handful, allegedly, to apply. And now they had 31, and now they've reopened it again. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out over the next few weeks. Actually, over the next month.
Now, how long will Tim Sims be in as interim?
Until they name a finalist and permanently hire the individual that they select in the hiring process.
Could there be a possibility that Tim stays on?
Very well could be.
He is one of the applicants.
He is. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
So he could be, the next county manager.
Wow. So we've got a lot to look ahead of.
We do.
I mean, there's a lot going on, especially in our local government. Definitely.
I think we just said farewell to Tyler on that. He had to hang up and move on, but we're so glad that he could join us. And, like I mentioned, Tyler's been with us for 10 years. We celebrated our 10th anniversary here at Now Habersham back in September of 2024. And it's just really hard to believe it's been a decade since all this started. And Jerry, you've been with us. You're now going into your 3rd year with Now Habersham. And Nora, you were one of the originals.
I was one of the originals and then took a step back and then came back.
And we're so glad you came back home.
Thank you. Thank you.
What has been the biggest and most impactful story for you this year?
Well, I think that there were 2 things, and they're not necessarily stories, but, we held the debate. And for me, that was Now Habersham's first debate. And it had to do, we had many people, which is fantastic for a local government. We had many people running for county commissioner and board of education. And being able to pull that together, we used the Demarest City Administration office, and that was so wonderful. The acoustics there were fantastic. We decorated. Jerry's partner Susan decorated beautifully for it, and it was a lot of fun. But the key element for me was being able to ask questions. It wasn't just a forum, which is what we're accustomed to. We asked questions of those candidates that they didn't know. And they had no idea what we were going to ask them. And we also allowed our readers to send in questions, which we, asked them.
We did.
And it was so informative. And I really believe that debate changed some people's minds.
I think so too.
I think that it was very advantageous for the ones who were running, but also for the listeners. But I really enjoyed doing it. It was fun.
That's the first time I did anything like that. So that was very interesting and very different.
And you both did a fabulous job with that. And we are so excited because here at Now Habersham, we are going to be bringing more of that to our not only readers, but now our listeners. So we are so excited for all of the new things that lie ahead. And we're going to get into that all in a minute. But Nora, it was a very, I think it was a seminal event in the election. And I think it was a pivotal moment for Now Habersham to be able to bring that level of debate to the county, to really see how these candidates, were thinking on their feet as opposed to, canned responses and prepared answers. I just really look forward to doing more of that in the coming years.
Okay, insider story. One of the reasons that we want to do this podcast so much is we want you guys to get to know us, right? Okay, insider story. Joy was out of town during the debate, so she's watching it live, right? Because we had it live stream. And my buddy Jerry is a Mountain Dew fanatic. Like if you see Jerry without a Mountain Dew, you get concerned. Like, what's going on, Jerry? You okay today? Okay, so here we are at this debate, and it looked like a presidential debate. It was set up so nice, and he has his Mountain Dew bottle right there beside him. And we get this text from Joy: "Get rid of the Mountain Dew bottle, please."
So if anybody was watching, they noticed that when we went into the break, there was a Mountain Dew bottle sitting on the anchor desk, so to speak,
Right.
And then it was gone.
And then it was gone. I think it got swapped out for a bottle of water.
I think
Absolutely.
so. I think so. I
Absolutely.
think it was.
There was no intentional product placement. That was just Jerry Neese and his ever present bottle of Mountain Dew.
Yeah, there can always be that. If you want to get Jerry a gift, that's it. Yeah.
Or a cup of coffee. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
One or the other.
And then I guess the other highlight was when Google came down.
Yes.
And they highlighted us as a small rural community. And many people don't know that, a news source. And it was huge. And they came down with their camera crews. And it was so much fun getting to work with them and learn from them. But I don't know when I had ever been more proud of Joy. I don't know if y'all know how truly bright she is and what she brings to this community. But that was huge. Having them say, this is the small rural news source we want to focus on, when they could have chosen anyone. And I think the other ones they chose, there was one in India and there was one in Europe, and I've forgotten the other location.
I forgot too as well.
But we were it. And that is because of our fearless leader, Joy Purcell.
That's because of teamwork. That's because of each one of you sitting here at this table, and Tyler, who just bowed out, and every person who has had their hand on Now Habersham over these past 10 years. It has been a labor of love for most of us. And it has truly been a labor as well. I mean, we work 24/7. And that's not just a saying. I mean, we work around the clock, early mornings, late nights, weekends, holidays, whatever it takes to bring your news home to you. That's what we do, because that's the level of commitment we bring to this job. And I couldn't be more proud of each and every person sitting here at this table here today. And that includes Daniel Purcell, who is producing our podcast.
And one of the most creative people I've ever met. So
I agree with that. Some might think I'm a little biased, but I actually think I am very, objective when it comes to his skill set. He is a fantastic photographer, videographer. He's got creativity running out of his hands, and he's always thinking of new and innovative ways of doing things. And he brings a lot to Now Habersham, and has since we started for 10 years. So Daniel is another long-term member of the team. I think initially he probably got roped into it because, no
TV if you don't do this.
Family Connections did that.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Daniel is my son, and I'm very, very proud to say that. But his talent, his skill set, that is him, and that is God. And we are thankful, and we are blessed to have him on the team as well.
Amen.
Well, speaking of team members, Brian Wellmeyer, our newest addition, he joined us back in September. And Brian, I know you are known to readers and news consumers in Northeast Georgia from your work at other organizations here in Northeast Georgia. But in your time with us, could you reflect on what's been the most impactful story to you?
Well, the biggest story for me, I feel like, was it started out as an update on the airport business park over there in Baldwin, Habersham County's airport business park. And after speaking to elected officials, it just became clear that it almost foreshadowed not only next year, but what we're going to see here in Habersham for years to come, which is impending growth and development, as elected officials began talking about the need for an additional business park on Georgia 365. Which then opened the door for the conversation about who supplies water down 365, down that corridor. You have Baldwin, you have Cornelia. Some people have talked about Demarest possibly running lines out there. And that struck me as the biggest story, because it really shows you what we're looking at here in Habersham. We are looking at future growth and development. It's just a matter of when and how it's managed.
And there is growth. I mean, coming our way, all you have to do is ride down the road, and all those former pastures that we passed by and almost took a blind eye to for years because it was just always pasture land. Now dotted with apartment complexes and houses, and a lot of this being driven by the inland port that is soon to start operating. Absolutely. I mean, it feels like it's already here.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine with the growth we've already seen that it's not.
And they've identified 365 as the spot for that potential future business park for that reason, for the inland port, essentially, which is going to fundamentally change the dynamics of this region as a whole.
I think it's going to fundamentally change sad to say, the character and nature of this region as well. I think it's already happening.
It's a big possibility.
And would you say that we really need to keep our eye on the water situation? Because I think it's going to just continue to grow into a problem.
I think it's a big question. It's going to be interesting to see who has dibs, for lack of a better word, on that water supply. It will come down to, again, two municipalities with very strong water sewer infrastructure are located there off 441, 365 to in prime position to be able to supply water down 365. It's just going to come down to aspects of funding. It's going to be the biggest one. And you're already seeing Hall County come up from the other way, coming north. They've identified 365 as a major area for their water sewer infrastructure, and I believe they've already supplied water to the county line. It's entirely in the realm of possibility to say that Hall County could come further, but which municipality meets them, it's up for grabs.
Well, and another thing with that, talking about the water, who can supply it? Honestly, right now, Hall County and Gainesville are the two that can, because they're on Lake Lanier. Our issue in Habersham County specifically is we don't have the surface storage or a huge lake to pull that resource from. And as we saw this year, another story was how much water Demarest had to use. And they were tapping out with Baldwin, where they buy their water from. So that's going to be a huge concern. Where are we going to get the water to supply this growth, since the reservoirs are virtually tapped?
Yeah, Jerry makes a good point.
Yeah, always a huge issue, and will continue to be so.
And I do have to brag on Brian. Sorry, but I'm letting y'all know he has tremendous skill sets. And Jerry and I were excited about him coming on board, but we never knew how excited we would be, because he's just a source. Like, I call him in and I'm like, I have no idea what to do here. And he has this calming effect, doesn't he?
He does.
You can hear it in his voice.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, like a Mr. Rogers kind of thing, Only Mr. Rogers wasn't so deep.
Depends what day it is.
Yeah. But he has a very calming effect, and it's like, hey, you can do this. Yes, let's think this through. And he's such an addition to our team. It's fabulous.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, and we are just so excited for what the future holds for this community. Although there is some trepidation as this growth, really, Gainesville is moving our way. Atlanta, if you want to say that, it's moving our way. And so there's a little bit of trepidation there, but we are excited because we are here to bring all of that to you in the days and weeks and months and years ahead. And this podcast is really us launching into the next phase of Now Habersham. Now, of course, some of you may or may not know this, but our parent company is Now Network News. Now Habersham is what we operate under, the name we operate under, but Now Network News. There's always been a bigger vision than just a county news outlet. We have always covered regional news across Northeast Georgia. We have always brought state and national news to our page, and we will continue to do that. And we are looking to grow this year. It's been 10 years to get to this point, and we are so excited for what this coming year holds. I want to kind of switch on that a little bit, and let's take a quick look. I know we've already touched on some things that we're looking forward to this year, but let's talk about the year ahead. First of all, I want to talk about Now Habersham. We're launching our podcasting. We're going to start with regional morning and evening newscast. That's coming. That's on the horizon, folks. We also have our brand new office here on the downtown Clarksville Square, which is going to be a great place to not only write our stories, tell our stories, but to meet the community. So we're really looking forward to that.
For me, while you're talking, I'm sitting here and I can see the square and people are walking back and forth. I'm looking at the flag, which is at half mast for President Jimmy Carter, who passed away. And it really speaks to my heart, because while we're talking about the community that we love and the surrounding community, the area, and the people that are walking by, it just has such an effect on me, as we're talking. The very people that we work and want to serve, they're right there, just walking past, and it's so exciting. So exciting to be here.
Well, and live streaming is another part. And, this window on the world that you just mentioned, Nora, as we look out on the downtown Clarksville Square, we're looking ahead to all the different things that we're going to be able to bring you all as our readers, as our listeners, and as our viewers, because we are going to be doing more live streaming. That includes events that you all want to see, and some you may not have known you wanted to see. There will be more debates. There will be more parades. There will be more conversations brought to you across our various social media channels, including YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We are so thankful to all of you who have been a part of what we have been building here for the past 10 years. We couldn't have done it without you. We wouldn't have done it without you. You are the reason that we exist. That is to serve you with community news, with information, with entertainment, with things that hopefully inform and inspire you. And as we get ready to wrap up here on this first podcast of Now We're Talking, let's briefly talk about the personal side of things. What is it that you're looking forward to this year, Nora? What is it that your heart is excited about in the coming year?
Well, when Joy started Now Habersham, one of the things that she and I had talked about tremendously was the fact that community mattered. It was really the premise by what she wanted to start this with. And now with the podcasting and with our own office and with the ability to be in the community, I'm looking forward to telling your stories. And nothing means more to me than someone who drops me an email or sends us something through Facebook and they say, "Hey, have you considered this person?" Or do you know about that? And that is something that I am so excited about, is that we're really here for you and we want to tell about your life. This is what you're living, and we want to be the source that documents it. So I guess that's probably what I'm looking most forward to.
Well, for me, I think going back and echoing what you just said, Nora, is community matters. And I look forward to, since I do a lot of government reporting, is getting that news to the community so they can make decisions and engage their elected officials, engage their county and city administrators on what's best for their community, and to give that input, because so many meetings don't have community input. Citizens don't attend or don't engage. And this is an avenue to get the news out to them that's going to affect their community so they can engage their elected officials and their administrators and move forward with making a better Habersham or region for Northeast Georgia.
Yeah, I'll just expand on what Jerry and Nora said. And I'm just excited to be a part of this new era for Now Habersham. And our publisher here, Joy Purcell, has really been on top of. You're seeing a huge change in journalism and in the news industry in the 21st century. And it is all becoming digital. Newspapers are unfortunately becoming a thing of the past. And 10 years ago, she was on top of that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this continue to evolve. And I think that will bring people, readers, viewers, more ways to access news, whether that be podcast, digital media, maybe even film one day. But I'm just excited to be here for the evolution.
Now we're talking. Thank you all so much for joining in on this conversation. And all I can say is thanks to everyone at this table, Brian, Daniel, Jerry, Nora, and Tyler, just for being a part of this. And to you, our readers, our listeners, our viewers, the folks of Northeast Georgia who make Now Habersham, Now Network News, what it is. Let's keep this conversation going.